Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Godwin Morris, and I run a program in New York City. I run two programs in New York City, one called Dazzling Discoveries and one called Skill Mill NYC. And we do many, many, many hands-on activities for kids and adults, and that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to be talking about one of our paper projects. We're ready to go with the slides. Okay, here we go. So this shows you our programs, which are Dazzling Discoveries and Skill Mill NYC on the left. And then on the right are two products that I created. Most of what I do is work with adults as teachers, and I work with kids. We do lots and lots of hands-on, and over the years I've created some products. And because this is made in NYC, I'm going to talk about the products a little bit because we actually do produce them in New York City, 100% produced in New York City. So let me show you what we've got. So Dazzling Discoveries and Skill Mill are our two physical spaces, both on the Upper West Side in Manhattan near 107th Street. And then Dazzlinks and Engineering with Paper are our products. And we're going to be doing some hands-on activities with you as soon as in a few minutes. I just want to show you what we do. So this is just a quick picture of our Dazzling Discovery space a year ago. It's shut down for now, but we are doing virtual hands-on activities with schools and with kids at home. So feel free to get in touch with us about that. This is our Skill Mill NYC facility, which is where I'm sitting today. And in the spring, we made face shields. So I just love this picture because it shows you what was involved in the face shields. And we bought these rolls and rolls of plastic, and we have a laser cutter here and 3D printers. And we just made over 1,000 face shields and donated them to nursing homes. Particularly, that was just a group that we knew was underserved. And so that's what we focused on. Here's a picture of one of the tables full of face shields as we produce them. You can see our 3D printers in the back. And at Skill Mill, we have a lot of electronic equipment. We have our laser cutter, 3D printers, sewing machines, etc. Skill Mill NYC is open. We're keeping that open, but mostly for work. We're doing a lot of work for artists, cutting things. Anyone who needs anything laser cut, feel free to contact us. We're not running any sessions in our space right now, but we will again. So this is our cardboard engineering kit. It's called Dazzlinks. And my years and years of working with kids, what kids love to have is cardboard with holes in it, because once you have the holes in it, you can connect them more easily. So I had an idea several years ago of cutting shapes and putting holes in it. And we prototyped it. It took a couple of years to prototype. And then I found a fabulous die cut company in Brooklyn. And we bought lots and lots of cardboard. It's new cardboard. We can't use recycled cardboard for this. We bought new cardboard and purchased dies, which are the big cutting panels, and produced it. And we started with our Dazzling's Shapes, which is the one in the left corner. We make that in plastic and in cardboard. I'm sorry, of course, in cardboard, in plastic as well. And those are flat shapes. And I'm going to show you some more pictures of that in a minute. And then a couple of years after that, I created the Dazzling's Beams, which is the same idea, but these fold. So let me show you a few pictures of what this looks like. And obviously we do sell this. We sell this on our website at dazzlingdiscoveries.com or at dazzlinks.com. We have lots of website connections. So these are the two different products. The one on the right is the shapes, and you can make different kinds of things. The one on the left is the beams, and that's more for making structures. This is some of the things you can make with the shapes, and you can see mostly they're flat. You can fold them, but they're generally go together in a side-to-side flat. And we can make things like grabbers. It's great for levers. If you teach simple machines, it's really great for that. And also for making creatures. Here are the creatures. This is just some projects that kids have made over the years with us. And they just go together with brad fasteners. So we sell that in bags. And then we also have our beams, which is very similar. It's hard to tell the difference, but I'm going to play this quick little video. These are the beams, which fold and assemble with dowels. You just slide dowels through the holes, and that holds it all together. And you can make all kinds of things. We've used this. So there's the Ferris wheel, and a catapult, and a marble run. Whoops. Okay. Okay, so here's another one, which is just a quick 2 seconds. This is a marble run. You'll see it's also a contraption concept. And so you can make just unlimited number of things with it. Oops, sorry. This is a teacher workshop that we did, and the teachers were creating catapults. And that's with our Dazzling beams. Here's just some pictures of projects that we've made with beams. This is an elevator. This is a Ferris wheel. These are kids working. This is, again, in our Skill Mill NYC space. These are more projects, catapults, marble runs. This is actually a kind of a robot-looking creature that somebody made. We've been presenting at the Intrepid Museum every year for Kids Week. I don't expect this year we'll be doing it, but we have hundreds of kids come through our table. We're there all week, and we have buckets of Dazzlings there, and kids just come and build. So we've tested it, and we know how successful, how great it is for just making things. And it's open-ended. It's a little bit like Lego. If you had a box of loose pieces, it's that idea. And we have projects you can make with it, but mostly it's designed for kids to just try it and make things and build, and they love it. Okay, so a lot of our focus is with schools. We work with schools, we work with teachers, we work with classrooms, we run after-school classes. And so now we're moving into our engineering with paper program projects. And what we've noticed from years and years of, again, working with kids is that there are lots and lots and lots of STEM challenges. You can go on Pinterest, you can go on almost every museum website, and they all say, make something that can blah, blah, blah. But what we discovered was that there's often a gap, that kids don't know how to get started. The idea of making something is appealing, but if they're just given a pile of materials, some kids are completely stuck. They're just confused. They don't know how to work with those materials. And so we focused on that specific issue, not on the end products so much, but on that issue of how do you get everybody comfortable with making things, particularly when they have simple materials. So we decided to bring it down to the concept of just working with paper and teaching kids how to make simple shapes with pieces of paper, and then you can build with those shapes. And we've been doing this in our program for 20 years. And over the last few years, we've been focusing on it as a methodology that can be used to help kids get started, to help them approach. And we call it Begin with Core Skills. If you just teach them how to make cylinders, how to make rectangular prisms, how to make shapes with paper, and then give them the challenges, they're much better prepared. So that's our focus. In the last 6 months, this has become critical because it's so hard to get supplies to kids. And so we've created an entire program around making things with just paper, tape, scissors. So kids could do it at home. Teachers could work with them over Zoom. We ran an entire summer program doing this. It was fabulous. So we categorized this into something that we call engineering with paper. That's the name of our product line. And we've created packets of instructions about how to make shapes that will help you make certain kinds of projects. So again, it's all specific shapes. We are going to work on this together. We're going to be making a project in a couple of minutes, but I just want to give you the overall concept so you see where we're coming from. And even in this picture, you can see there's some common shapes. Here's a catalog of what we currently offer. All of these squares, the creatures, the home, roller coaster, cityscape, simple machines, playground, animal habitat, and we're going to have an wheel and axle one in a few days. These are all $12. They're downloadable packets. They come with instructions about how to make the shapes, some example projects. The idea, though, is to learn the shapes and then design your own project. So we give you a couple of marble runs, but mostly we want you to make your own. We give you some creature ideas and we want you to make your own. We also have 2 free downloads. Actually, we have 3 free downloads. The third one's not on this picture. We have the catapult, the marble run, pepper harvest, and we also have a city, build a city that we did with the census. So those are 3 free downloadable ones that are on the website. And the website, again, is dazzlingdiscoveries.com or engineeringwithpaper.com. They both go to the same place. And it's on this screen. So here are some examples of the paper projects that one can make with our kits or with these shapes. So this is clearly a kind of a creature puppet. These are some, I like to show the ones that move because you don't think about paper as a material you can use to make things that move. So these are particularly fun. This one on the left is going to be in our Axle project. And then the one on the right is the marble run, the free peppercorn marble run project. You can see that they both move. Oops. We've been doing a lot of things on Zoom, and this is our homes project. Just a quick, it's videos using Zoom capture of kids having made different things with our homes project. Okay, now this is what we're going to make together. So what I'm going to do is show you how we go through our curriculum, and we start by looking at real things. Some of you may know about arcade games, you may have seen them, you may not, but the idea is if you toss something at something else, you can make a game out of that. So here are just some quick examples, and when we work with kids, we always look at real examples first to understand what the goals are, how they work, what they look like. We find that's very helpful to get started. These are just little gifs of these arcade games. And then basketball, which is the most common one. Most people know basketball either from the park and using a real basketball and a basket, or from these kinds of games. And the idea, again, is you're tossing something at a target. It could be a basketball hoop, it could be rings, it could be things to knock over. It's always, this is a very common theme in games, particularly arcade games, where you're launching or tossing something at something else. We also like to look at familiar objects. This is a seesaw from the playground. Again, look around. Wherever you go, you will see interesting things. If you look at how they're made, how they move, what's happening, whatever makes sense to you. But look at the things around you and observe them. That's what we tell kids all the time. Just watch how they move. Look at the hinges and doors. And if you have a stroller, how it opens and closes, or how a folding table might open and close, or how does everything work, particularly when it moves. Look at what the mechanism is and use that as an idea for a project. This is a pretty basic, simple machine lever GIF, just to see that when you push down on one side, the other side goes up. And again, as I said, we work with a lot of schools, so we do a lot of science things. So now we're going to take these ideas and use it to make our own catapult. And as I said earlier, we do everything with paper, tape, and scissors. So we're going to be making paper catapults and targets with just those materials. So make sure you have these supplies. You should have them at home. Most people have paper. It could be any kind of paper. It could be magazine, old catalogs, old magazine pages. Could be loose leaf paper. It's just, we find that people do have some kind of paper at home that they can use. For this particular project, it does not even matter what size the paper is. We are going to recommend, we're going to run through an example using 8.5 by 11 printer paper, that white basic white paper, because that's the easiest to get and the easiest to show you, but you can actually use any kind of paper for this. Scissors. Tape is sometimes a variable. It's different kinds of tape. There's Scotch tape and masking tape, and then there's painter's tape. We try to avoid packing tape, although that is sometimes the only kind of tape kids have, and if you have that, you can cut it up into small pieces. We'll show you how, and use that, but you will need some kind of tape, or stickers. We've started using stickers instead of tape sometimes. We find that sometimes kids have big stickers they can use. And markers are just great to have for decorating. There's no, you don't need them for this project. We just like to see it because it makes it fun. So I'm just stalling for a minute here, just so anybody needs to go get your supplies to follow along on our project. So paper, tape, scissors, and markers if you have it. And obviously, if you're watching this, you can freeze it, go get it, and come back. So I'll keep going. All right. Now, you probably cannot see this, and you don't have to see this. I'm just showing you that this is the page that is downloadable. This is free on the dazzlingdiscoveries.com website. If you go to the shop, you will see that we have free projects. This is the Catapult project, and you're very welcome to download this. I'm going to go through how to make it on this slide with my slides and on this presentation, but it is available for you to download after this so that you have the instructions. That is usually the main comment that we get, is people lose track as I go through the presentation. But you can download this, dazzlingdiscoveries.com or engineeringwithpaper.com. Okay, here we go. So remember I told you at the beginning that we focus on shapes. So these are the two shapes that we're going to be using, and you can see they're pretty simple. One is a cylinder, it's rolled paper. The other is a flat piece of paper with the walls folded up. If you're using cover stock or even a cereal box cardboard, these are the tracks are pretty easy to make. It's a little harder to roll it, but you can. One of the things that you may not have noticed about paper is that it has a grain to it, and particularly with cereal box cardboard, when you go to fold it or roll it, you try it in one direction and then try it in the other, so the long sides and then the short sides, you will notice that it folds or curls better in one direction rather than the other. So I'm just suggesting, if you are going to use stiffer materials, that you test that. If you're using white paper, which I'm going to show you how to do here, that's not as big an issue. But again, these are the two shapes. And we actually have about 8 or 9 projects that you can make just using this track shape and this cylinder shape. And again, what we find is if we show kids how to, and actually I say kids, but even teachers, this happens a lot with teachers. We show you how to make these basic shapes and then say, go make a marble run, go make a track, go make a catapult. Once you know how to use or make these shapes, it's much, much easier to figure out how to approach those challenges. So here are our shapes, track and cylinder. And this is how to do it with a single piece of very soft white paper, just this basic white printer paper. So this instruction shows you, take a full sheet of paper. We fold it, what we call the short side to short side. These are the short sides. You can see the difference. Short side to short side, folding those together, because what we're doing right now is just strengthening the paper. That's all. We're just making the paper stronger. So you fold it in half, short side to short side. And then once you've done that, you fold it in half again. And as I said, this is just to show you how to make the paper stronger. You've made it thicker. And so when you go to make your marble run or your catapult from this, you just have a little bit, it's a little sturdier. It doesn't bend as easily. So this is just showing you to fold the paper once over and twice over if you're using soft white paper. And then once you've gotten that thicker paper ready, then you just fold up the edges, and it's the two long sides, and you just fold them over. It's helpful to run your finger along the crease, but you will get a track. Both sides folded up, and there you have your track. Then you're going to take a second piece of paper. And again, if you're using a full sheet, you want to fold it in half, short side to short side. This time we're just going to do it once because we want it to be a little bit longer. We want to have more width to it. One of the tricks that we recommend when rolling, because that's what we're going to do with this piece of paper, we will be rolling it. It helps enormously to put the tape on the end before you roll it. So we take the paper and we stick the tape on the edge of it, the short edge, with the sticky side up, and then lay it on a plate, a table, and roll your paper. I'm doing it in midair so you can see it, but you can also see it in my image here. So we just make this point. It's when you roll, you'll roll right over the tape, and that holds it together right away. If you're trying to rip tape or put tape on it after you rolled it and hold the thing rolled, it's harder. Not impossible, but harder. And again, I'm doing this with soft white paper. You could do this with construction paper. You could do this with soft cardboard. Anything you can do to make a rolled piece. The width of the rolled piece, particularly for this project, is relatively wide. You want to make this wide enough so that you can stick a couple of fingers in there. And again, you can make several different sizes because what you're going to be doing is testing it. So now that you've gotten your rolled tube, the idea is to attach it to the bottom of the track. Now, the question that I get here is, where do you attach it? So let me show you this picture. You can test it in different places because depending on where you put this rolled piece, which is called the fulcrum when you're doing simple machines and levers, this is called the fulcrum. That's the piece the arm balances on. It will affect the way the catapult works based on where you put the fulcrum. So it's something to consider, to play around with. If you're not sure, you just want to get it, just pick one. The middle is the most common. And so the idea is you put a big piece of tape, you can flip the whole thing over, you're taping the fulcrum, you're making like a T shape with putting your rolled paper underneath your arm. The next thing that we've got, and so at the bottom here, you can see I have this finished one. What you're seeing here on this screen is a way to make a cup that fits on the arm. Because and again, this is another thing to test. Try launching a piece of paper. We crumple a small piece of paper. You should have some scrap paper from this, or you can cut off the corner of something. We're launching crumpled paper. You could try launching it without the cup. What you will notice is that the launched object, the paper, will tend to go up. So if you want it to go sideways toward a target, it helps to add a cup. And again, feel free to test this. You can test where you put the cup. But what we're showing you here is that once you make that arm, you could cut a little piece off the end of it to have a piece to roll into a cup shape. That's all that this is showing it. I think it sometimes looks more complicated than it is. Again, this is all on our free catapult download that you can get from the dazzlingdiscoveries.com website. So this is showing you to cut off an end of the catapult arm, and then take that piece and roll it into a small cylinder, and then tape it near the end of the arm. And again, this is a finished one with the fulcrum underneath, the arm here, the cup right there, and the crumpled paper in the cup. So then what you're going to do is you just practice launching it. And this works for everybody, so you'll see what happens. So then the next part of this, if you're making this into a game, is to think about what kind of targets do you want to make. So there are many, many options. I'm going to show you a couple of possible ideas, and feel free to make your own. These are baskets, and again, these are just the stack of paper is just cylinders again. Just roll again more cylinders and stack them. You want to make them wide enough so that they can sit on top of each other. And you can make a whole wall of them. You can also do this with small paper cups, Dixie cups, and stack those, knock those over, look around your house for things that you could stack and knock over. Again, remember, you want to only use safe items in a catapult. Crumpled paper is soft, pom-poms are soft. You do not want to use anything sharp or hard. It will hurt somebody or something. So when you're making your targets, you want to pick targets that can be knocked over by a soft piece of paper. This second one is making a basket. And the idea of this is you make a cylinder and then you can put a bottom on your cylinder. This is just one of our diagrams about how to make standing targets, how to make, again, the rolled paper. And then we also have another method where we make rectangular prisms. Again, this goes back to our idea about shapes and learning how to make basic shapes. So you can make columns that are rectangles, or you can make columns that are round cylinders. And then here we go. This is an image of the catapult in action. You will notice on this one, we also put a backboard. If you've ever played basketball, you know the value of a backboard. You don't have to have the backboard, but it definitely helps direct that piece of paper. You may or may not notice that this particular project is made out of newspaper rather than white paper. We did this project for the New York Times, and I'm very pleased to say that they published it. It was the August 30th issue in the at-home section. If you go to the New York Times website and type in catapult, we come up as the #1 project, first thing that pops up. And so you can also make this out of paper as soft as newspaper, because I'm sure you know newspaper is much softer. It bends much more easily than certainly than cardboard or cereal box, but even more easily than the white paper. And so really the issue to work with a really soft paper just means folding it a few more times. The more you fold it, the more you stiffen it. So this is what you should be making. And this is the main project in my presentation today. I have some more variations to show you. And again, you can see you push down on the opposite end, and you push down quickly, and that will cause the other end to pop up quickly. When I do this with schools, we also talk about seat belts, because the reason this is flying out, that the crumpled ball flies out of the cup, is that it's not wearing a seat belt. So you don't want it to wear a seat belt in this case, but in real life, in a car, the same thing would happen to you. You would keep moving forward when the car, or in this case, the catapult, stops. And that's why it's working. It's transferring the energy to the paper ball, and that's pushing it. It's still moving. It's got momentum and it's still moving. You wear a seatbelt to stop that from happening in a car. So here's some other projects that we've created using the same shapes. This is the track again. This is a cylinder to hold it up. And you might notice these papers at the bottom. These are supports because you want to make this item needs to be made more stable so it doesn't tip over. And these are just strips of paper folded a few times and then bent into that kind of U shape. There's one on each side. And that will prevent your object from tipping side to side. It's a good technique to know how to do. So this is the ramp. And then watch what we do with the ramp. Here's the ramp again, and we've turned it into a kind of a contraption, into a little more of a game. So now, when it's rolling down, it knocks over that thinner cylinder. And again, this is still cylinders. This is a thinner cylinder. This is a wider cylinder that we're using as a tunnel. This is a track. There's the same crumpled ball. Here's the other cylinder. It's all the same shapes. So we've already made 2 or 3 different games just with this. And then this is an example of combining the 2 ideas together. So what you can do is take your catapult, make this ramp. We definitely recommend putting a backboard, which is what this picture is showing you, that there's a backboard on the ramp. And you can make a circular game. So you take your catapult, launch it at this ramp, it hits the backboard, rolls down, and returns the ball to you. So it's another variation. So you would be taking this same idea. I'm just going backwards to show you again. You take the same idea. Here's that backboard. Here's that cylinder. You would maybe make your cylinder taller and then make a ramp coming down from it, and the ball would come back to you. And those are our arcade games. Again, here's the knocking it over. This is a picture of what our packets look like. Back to our engineering with paper packets. They come with some example projects. They come with some template pages that show you that you actually cut up and use. And then they come with these colored pages that talk about the shapes. And each of those pages shows you how to make certain shapes. Could be cylinders and ramps, as we just showed you. We have 2 different pages for that. We also have a paper tray that we use. We have a whole way to make houses. We have beams, paper beams that we use. Anyway, that's what's inside all of these packets. Oops. That's a picture of a playground that we designed. That's our packets. That's our playground. And we're back to our Dazzling Discoveries front page. And if anyone has any comments or questions, I could see your comments if you want to post them. And that covers our project for today. Anything else? Okay. So I'm done with this. So Taylor, I think if we want to take this off, I don't see any comments. Thank you. I will once again just go over. It's dazzlingdiscoveries.com. Our email address is info@dazzlingdiscoveries.com. Our adult and teen makerspace is Skill Mill NYC. Our children's center is Dazzling Discoveries, but we're doing mostly everything virtually. And then these are our kits. Our Dazzlinks cardboard engineering, as I said, made completely in New York. We designed it at our studio. We have the pieces cut in a factory in Brooklyn, and we ship everything from here. We assemble everything from our Skill Mill NYC space in New York. And then our engineering with paper, which we also make in New York City. We're running camps, classes for kids, and we're happy to help any schools, and feel free to get in touch. That's it.